Burlington.org. The Burlington School Committee will hear public comments in person and virtually. Meetings are also broadcast live on Burlington Cable Access TV, and video and audio recordings are being made. This meeting of the Burlington School Committee will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Our equity statement. Educational equity means that every child belongs and receives whatever support they need to develop their full academic and emotional and social emotional potential to learn and thrive every day. That begins with kindness and valuing the humanity of every child and individual. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the warrant.
So moved.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Ms. Massardo?
Yes.
Mrs. Monaco?
Aye.
And the chair is an aye. It's unanimous.
Roll call.
Approval of the meeting minutes from 5/26/26. All in favor?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And next up is our student report.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say for the seniors, congratulations, because graduation just happened on Sunday. And besides that, for all student council, the elections have happened, and each grade is individually now working on getting their new members inducted and getting just started on of what student council is and what responsibilities they have. We are also, as student council, planning on having a boot camp for the incoming freshmen of next year, just to let them know like how student council really runs, because we found an issue that like the incoming freshman classes don't really understand how the meetings run and what exactly needs to get done before their senior year in order to make sure they have successful like proms and dances. And then for the juniors, they had to end up canceling their car wash because of the weather conflicts and the space availability. So they're trying to push that into next year. But they are having a end of year popsicle party, which they do every year, and that's taking place tomorrow during our flex block. They're also planning on having a cornhole tournament next year during the fall. And the sophomore class, they are having their car wash on June 20th at MSMS. And then the freshmen made $96 from their schoolhouse fundraiser that they had a few days ago. That's all. Thank you.
Any questions?
I was just wondering, do you mind if I make an announcement while she's still here?
Yeah, absolutely.
I went to the art show, the photography exhibit, and I noticed that you were one of the subjects. So I just wanted to say, I was just trying to pull up the exact details. I think it's closed now, but it was the Photosynthesis 21 photography exhibit with Burlington and Winchester students. And it was a lovely piece of you and your necklace. And some of the other exhibits were, there was sneakers, ramen noodles, Simon's Park. It was a really cool exhibit.
Thank you so much. That was my best friend. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public participation. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Is anyone in the audience here for public? Okay. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Jamie Weber, Wellness Committee member, as well as Precinct 7 Town Meeting member. I just wanted to take a moment to share how much I work. I loved working and serving on the Wellness Committee. It was a wonderful experience, closely working with Lisa Chen, Amy, and some of you, along with a dedicated group of individuals who brought a wide variety of perspectives, experiences, and opinions to the table. The diversity of the thought of our discussions, productive and very meaningful. While we accomplished a great deal, there's still a lot of important work ahead, so I wanted to stress that. I also believe it's important to recognize that there still are concerns surrounding standards, wellness-related content, and curriculum continue to be discussed not only in our district, but in surrounding districts regarding health education, sex education. Parents continue to express concerns regarding the content materials to which children may be exposed to, as well as whether parent opt-outs are being honored and transparency and communication is sufficiently clear. So I still want that to be consistent and honored in our district. There are still important conversations that deserve continued attention, transparency, and collaboration between the families and the district. I believe that we did assemble, you guys did a great job of hand selecting an outstanding committee, and although we made significant progress, we ran into time constrictions with all other activities going on throughout the district. So, meetings and ran a little short, so I would like to, stress it's important to resume that in the fall and have the same wonderful group of individuals continue to working to have good standards for the community. I wanted to also congratulate the class of 2026. My daughter was one of those. Sadly for you guys, I will not be going away. I think we have a good district and we have a lot of work to still do on the table. So I just wanted to thank all the individuals because they put together, in the school committee, you guys put together a great senior week that was filled with lots of activities. The all-night grad party, there's a lot of fundraising that goes in throughout the entire year for scholarships, fundraising, all the events that lead up to senior week and prior to graduation, and there's a lot of dedicated individuals that do a superb job behind the scenes, making sure our graduating class have a great all-night party experience, a safe way to have an experience and celebrate, and keeping our seniors safe, which is huge. And then there's a lot of community and people throughout the district and the town that, dedicate time, dedicate money, dedicate funds, ensure that we have funding with appropriate spending and fiscal so that every student is recognized and has the opportunity to receive some scholarship of money through all the sports, academics. So just props to the community for the continued collaboration and working together and recognizing students. So that's it.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your graduate.
Anyone else in the room for public participation? Anyone online? Okay. Next item on the agenda is subcommittee reports.
Take a second to talk about my second favorite topic. Marshall Simon's field has begun. If you've been out there lately, you'll notice the erosion control barriers are up, fencing is up, temporary for the construction site. They are beginning some site prep work as they get into the major phases of construction. What I'll note for people is, as you visit Marshall Simon's, please be mindful of this fencing. Please don't try to circumvent this fencing because it is an active construction zone. So please honor those fences and don't try to go around them. Speaking with Mr. Cuna and Principal McMahon, graduation will happen, the field will be accessible, and the field will remain accessible throughout the duration of construction, the turf field up at Brush. So more to follow and updates as they become available.
Thank you. Anyone else? Next item on the agenda is the Ways and Means. Anything to report, Cheyenne?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ways and Means has nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Madam Chair, just very briefly, I sent you an email, if you didn't see it, that one of our recent graduates, Julia Baldazar, she's a sophomore at Berklee School of Music. She sang with Josh Groban and Jennifer Hudson. So I sent you that article, and so she was selected to do that. So again, tremendous success. We talk about a lot of other success, but I think our musical success was something. And then what did John said? She's come a long way from the Cowardly Lion or something. So I forget. I have to figure out what she played. But I just wanted to recognize Julia for her efforts
That's awesome.
and her accomplishment.
And I also wanted to recognize 3 young men who achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. Yes, we have Giovanni Dorian, Mehran Khalil, and Christopher Peckham. Congratulations again. A few of us were there from the school committee to wish them, best of luck on their future endeavors and congratulate them. And it's just a tremendous accomplishment.
Madam Chair, I just don't want to misspeak. Julia was the donkey in Shrek.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what she was. So.
Any other announcements? No. Okay. Next on the agenda is learning, equity, and thriving. First item is field maintenance.
I'm going to, actually, with your permission, hand it over to Mr. Brooks, and I just wanted to thank Brendan and invite him up with his team. Brendan, thank you for your flexibility. It took us a couple days to get this, but I appreciate you coming out. Mr. Brooks, I think you asked for this agenda item.
Yeah, preheat this. So there was a discussion point that came up during Recreation Committee, trying to see if there is a potential for alignment to consolidate field maintenance, use the same fertilizers and other materials to kind of standardize across the town for the rec department to ease maintenance. Also will likely improve the brand new field surface we put in at Francis Wyman for the baseball field as well. So I'm not going to speak too much about it because I'm not a fertilization and horticultural expert, so I'm going to turn over the experts here, but they came to speak to us and kind of give us some idea about what they would like to implement and then some of the questions folks are likely to have.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having us. I'm Brendan Egan, Director of Parks and Recreation. This is Brian Lucini. He is our consultant with Tom Irwin Incorporated. Just thought I'd give a brief history of how we got to where we are now. And then Brian is really the ultimate expert. He's awesome and can answer some questions that you may have. But I just wanted to give, like I said, a brief history and then talk about opening a discussion moving forward with the school committee. So during the summer of 2018, we were looking to improve our athletic field conditions throughout town. We had heard from youth sports leagues, the athletic department, members of the public on the condition of our athletic fields. The fields were worn out, compacted and full of weeds, and our organic approach was not working. We wanted to build healthy turf while being able to stay organic as much as possible. We reached out to area turf managers with other communities, and they all kept talking about Tom Irwin Incorporated, which happened to be right here in Burlington. So I reached out and connected with Brian, and we looked at a field that we could use as a showcase on good, healthy turf management. So we chose Wildwood Park. If you're not familiar, Wildwood Park has a major league diamond and a softball field. And then across the middle, we play youth soccer, plays there in the fall and sometimes in the summer. The field was full of clover and weeds. It was very green. It was just full of clover and weeds, which is not an ideal playing surface. We developed a plan with Brian and got to work treating the clover and weeds, aerating, and then we top dressed the entire surface with sand. And then about a month later, we slice seeded, which is putting the seed directly into the ground, the entire playing surface. We had excellent results getting rid of the clover and weeds. It went from very green to brown, tan, because it killed off all of the unwanted material there. So through an aggressive irrigation program, combined with ideal fall weather for growing grass, the athletic field came full circle by the end of October. So we continued our partnership with Tom Irwin, and the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department has embarked on a new aggressive approach to field maintenance. Utilizing Tom Irwin's vast and Brian's vast knowledge and experience in turf management, we have been able to develop a specific approach tailored to the athletic fields in Burlington. The plan is set on a calendar and lays out specific maintenance plan for each field per season and for the year. The planning tool not only acts as a guide for the program, but brings greater clarity and understanding in the budget process. The Burlington Parks and Recreation Department maintenance staff are committed to the maintenance and success of the athletic fields in Burlington. Currently, our staff have taken on this work and perform all of the fertilization, overseeding, irrigation work, and aerating of the athletic fields. Through the department's capital plan, we have replaced old and worn-out equipment with new equipment that allows us to perform the needed work efficiently and effectively. And when we need to apply an herbicide, we contract with a licensed contractor and follow all state and federal regulations. Just want to remind everyone that the school fields, the school properties are still in the organic program. We do not do any herbicides on school properties. So we continue, as I mentioned, to treat the school properties with organics, and that is Memorial and Francis Wyman Elementary School fields. So the town has invested approximately $700,000, I think, in the renovation of the baseball field, which included rebuilding the infield, new fencing, laying sod throughout the infield, and I think it's about 20 feet beyond the arc into the outfield. On a recent site visit, we had noticed that the weeds that are prevalent in the outfield grass that we have not been able to eradicate are creeping into the new surface. We would like to open a discussion with the school committee and about the potential use of herbicides to stop the spread of the weeds and protect the investment that was made to the baseball field. So that's where we are tonight. We're not asking for a decision. We'd just like to share some information, answer some questions, which is why I asked Brian to come along. He would probably be best able to answer those questions, but at least start a discussion about the potential to treat the two fields.
Great. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't think so.
I do.
Okay. Mrs. Monaco?
First off, one of the things that I want to see before we go into a discussion about a policy change is a list of every product that you might possibly use on school fields. Because I think based on conversations I've had with parents in the community, people are nervous about herbicides on fields. It isn't so much the older kids standing up, playing games, but it's the little kids sitting down, rolling in the grass. And so in order to make people feel comfortable, I think we need to have a list of the products, not the ones that you're sure you're going to use, but the products that you even might be going to use, and let us look them up, let us talk about them, look at them. I'm a little disappointed that things didn't go better with the organic fields, and I know there are some reasons. One of them is cost, but I think the school department, school committee might be willing to help with the cost, and that's come up a few times. So I guess my first question is, as far as the organic school fields, and you include Pine Glen in that, right?
No, we don't have an active athletic field there.
The soccer field is...
We haven't used that in years for soccer. Youth soccer stopped requesting it.
Okay, so which fields, there's the baseball field of Francis Wyman and this Memorial.
Yes.
There are other fields that are not getting herbicides, weed killers, et cetera?
The only other town field would be Mary Cummings Park,
And why is that?
because it's in the agreement with the city of Boston and the trustees not to allow, not to use herbicides and pesticides there.
Okay, so no matter what we do, you can't use them there.
Correct.
Okay. And so for the school fields, the quote organic approach, what has the approach been with the organic approach? You know, what has been done?
So I'm gonna let Brian talk about this a little bit. I'm gonna let Brian talk about it. Just easier.
Is this working or?
If it's,
Okay, all right.
There you go.
There we go. How's
not
that?
to get
Better?
too close.
Sure. That's all right there. Everybody can hear me okay. Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me in tonight, and appreciate your concern and your interest in this. And my objective is just to help you make the best decision for you, for your town, for your people. I work with hundreds of clients across New England. Everybody does things a little bit differently. What I try to do is just help understand what their objectives are and help them build the best approach towards taking care of their fields that they can based off of how they want to do things, what their values are, what their objectives are. So hopefully I can answer as many questions as you've got, and anything that I can't answer, I'd be happy to look that up, research it, and get back to you. As far as the school fields with regards to the organic program, organics are the foundation. Organic fertilization is a foundation of every field that we take care of in town, but it's the only thing that we utilize on the athletic field, on the athletic fields for the schools. Typically, when you start an organic fertilization program or any fertilization program, the first thing that you want to do is test soils and take a look at all the nutrient levels. We're trying to optimize nutrient levels in the soil, and then we're trying to optimize the physical characteristics of the soil as well. So we're looking at aeration processes, soil chemistry, soil nutrition, and things of that nature. And then we're utilizing organic-based fertilizers when we go out and fertilize. We're also utilizing an organic grub control that is a bacterial product that works extremely well. So the fields are currently fertilized 4 times a year with organic fertilizer. They're treated with an organic grub control at the end of June. And then it's at specific times of the year, especially with organically managed fields, typically to get the type of results that would lead to, let's call it, optimal playing conditions, they typically will require more aerification, overseeding, what we call cultural practices, aerification, overseeding, top dressing, and everything like that. But particularly overseeding, because we're trying to win a war of attrition against weed seed. So more grass seed against more weed seed. So we're trying to grow more grass seed, feed that grass seed organically, and basically outcompete the weeds. So that is the objective of running an organic-based program is taking care of the soil with organic fertility and aggressive seed establishment. So, and we have a budget. Brendan tells me what we have to work with, and we select products and seed based off of the budget and what we think are ideal for the individual fields. And then we build the plan. The plan goes into the software, and Brendan's staff executes the program. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay,
so 4
okay.
times a year, and then grubs in the spring, and
Typically like late June, early July, yeah.
once a
Yeah,
year.
Yes, and that's an organic, that's a biological-based material, yep.
And as far as aeration, are all those fields aerated? And how often?
2 to 3 times a year.
With the machine, with the things?
Yes.
So it looks
Core
like-
aerator. Yes, it
Yeah.
pulls
A whole
plugs.
bunch of geese have been hanging out there?
Yeah,
Yes.
it does, yeah, it does, yep.
So is there anything more that we could do if we were able to come up with funding or personnel or whatever to make the organic-only fields better without switching over to herbicides.
Absolutely. There's always things that you can do. Obviously, increasing your inputs with regards to seed inputs, doing more aeration, more top dressing at specific times of the year. And we do the best we have with the budget we have to work with, but there's limitations as far as overseeing irrigation systems, having the amount of time to do that. Definitely more manpower, more labor in general would certainly is always going to be more helpful. Establishing more grass through overseeding, so doing more investments in seed. There's something that's become a process that's become more and more popular here in the U.S. It started over in Europe. I would say probably 18 to 20 years ago. It actually came from the tulip growing industry, and there's a process called phrase mowing, where there's a machine that comes in that actually scrapes off a thin layer of the surface, and it'll typically will take the weeds. There's certain weeds that grow at a certain height in the soil profile, and a lot of the grasses will actually grow underneath that. And this machine is brought in and it actually strips the vegetation off of the top of the field. And then once the vegetation is taken off the top of the field is then aggressively seeded, aerified, seeded, top dressed, and that sort of thing, and then it's regrown. So that's a process, but that usually requires you to close the field for several months because you're literally stripping the surface off of the field. But that's become more and more common, certainly in this area. I would say the last probably 5 to 6 years in communities that aren't using any sort of.
Do you use any corn products on the organic fields?
That's a good question. Corn gluten, it has been shown to have some impact on the germination of certain weeds, crabgrass in particular. One of the issues with it is the percentage of control that you get with it isn't really adequate enough to stop, let's say, a serious outbreak of them. And then it's very nitrogen rich. So nitrogen in the right quantities is very good for grass. It's what we use to make the grass grow, one of the primary nutrients. But the amount of corn gluten that you have to apply to achieve optimal turf grass growth is much less. I'm sorry, let me back up. The amount of corn gluten that you need to apply to get comprehensive, let's say, control of your crabgrass ends up applying a lot more nitrogen than what's really optimal for turf grass. And what that ends up in is plants that are overly rich in nitrogen are more susceptible to disease. They don't wear as well. They grow a lot, so they require a lot more mowing as well. So if you're looking at the overall cost benefit of that, it's for performance athletic fields, we haven't seen an instance where that's produced the type of results that our clients would be looking for. So,
what I'm honestly looking for is a way to make the organic fields better without using herbicides.
Sure.
Because, like I started with, when we get that complete list of products that could be used, I'm sure there are going to be some on there that we're not thrilled to have on the fields that little kids are on. So I think one of the things that as a school committee we're pretty good at is helping to fund. Or I don't know if there are contractual issues with who does the work, or, those contracts are always fun, right?
Correct.
So, I know this is a discussion, but from one individual school committee member, I would like to know what we can do to make the organic fields better while keeping them organic. And, are there communities around, like, does Lexington have organic fields, or Concord, or?
Somerville, Cambridge. I'm just trying to think of the ones that I work with. I wouldn't say that, Needham has herbicide-free fields. But I wouldn't say everything that they do is organic, but I would say the vast majority of the things that they do are organic. Let me think. I'd have to think a little bit more about that, but certainly those three are the ones that I'm aware of, and there may be quite a few more that, again, that we don't work with. We don't work with everybody, so.
All right, well,
But,
so
sure.
to wrap up my little piece of this, first, I'd like that list. And then I'd like us as a group, both rec and school committee, to spend some amount of mental energy on how we could improve the fields without switching. What would the additional cost be? What could the school department do to help? What could Ways and Means do to help?
Sure.
Before we throw up our hands and say, oh, okay, we're going to put herbicides on the fields. But I'm one person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's perfectly reasonable. I mean, I think when we look at things in terms of a sustainable approach to turf management, we're looking at a three-legged stool that's basically held up. Obviously, we're always looking at the environmental angle of that. How does that impact the equation? We're looking at the human aspect of that. How does that affect the people? Typically, sports user groups, especially as you get higher in terms of the age groups, are looking for more and more optimal types of playing conditions, lower heights of cut, denser, more consistent across the playing surface, that sort of thing. So for optimizing play, and then obviously we're considering the costs. So, and every community weighs all three of those legs of the stool a little bit differently. Some are a little more focused on the environmental piece. Some are a little bit more focused on the human piece, the playability piece. Some are more focused on the financial piece. But if you're not considering all three of those pieces when you're building the program, it wouldn't be sustainable. If it's not good for the environment, it's not good. It could go right through the whole thing. But
primary
all three of
reason
them are
is
important.
to protect,
Yeah.
especially little children.
Of course, yeah, of course. Question: when you consider the overall, let's call it environmental impact, or let's say environmental risk of a program, how important is carbon footprint? Let's say how much fuel is being used, that sort of thing, in your overall assessment of how you take care of your parks. How important is that to the town?
Well, if you're asking me, that's not my job. I'm just worried about the chemicals on the
It's
fields.
something we take into consideration.
Yeah,
obviously.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because most of the things that you need to do to have a more aggressive stand of grass, and the towns I'm talking about are I would definitely, they've made that decision to do a lot more aeration and a lot more seeding and a lot more of those things, but those are all done with equipment that runs diesel fuel, and they're towed around by trucks, and seed comes from Oregon and it's grown on a farm and it's trucked all the way across the country. So when you're considering your overall environmental footprint, that's something to consider, that it's more fuel, labor, work, carbon intensive typically when you're looking to achieve optimal playing conditions, and always, there's always trade-offs. We work with professional sports teams, we work with municipalities and everything in between. So it's really, what the individual client is looking to achieve. Typically the more optimal you're looking to make athletic fields for sport, where the playability and the consistency of the surface, the more that's your focus, the more inputs typically in terms of chemicals and things like that are used, right? So
I'm curious about Needham, because my recollection is that their fields are pretty nice.
They are very nice, yeah.
So I'm wondering how they do it without using herbicides.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't work very closely with Needham, so I've been working with them for 16 years now, 16 or 17
Maybe we could get some
years.
more details.
Oh,
on what
absolutely.
they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Massardo, did you have a question?
Yes, I think this is probably for Brendan, but this program's already in place at Simons, Veteran, CRW, is it Marvin, and, okay.
Yes, so Yes, all other
Okay.
town fields.
Okay. Can
Yes.
you, when you give us more information, maybe say this is the ones that are already in the program and we are only looking to bring in 2 very specific, one baseball, one soccer field, right? So not necessarily playgrounds or
No,
common areas or anything
this is
like
just athletic fields.
Okay.
And would the new Fox Hill field be part of the organic?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So
Yes.
that would be another field.
Yep.
Mr. Brooks, did you have any questions?
Nope, like I said, I just wanted to start the conversation here, see where it goes, and then we can, get whatever backup information we need and continue the conversation.
Madam Chair, again, I just want to maybe take a couple minutes and talk about process, because I think if we leave it here and don't talk about how you'd like the conversation to continue, then a lot of time will go by. So Brendan and I can certainly coordinate the details, but are you all envisioning sort of a joint rec school committee meeting that we can schedule? Do you want to come back in a month? Do you want to come back in August? Obviously, it's too late to really make any significant spring changes at this point, right? The school year's ending, and I guess if you guys could help me think about.
I'd like to put a time horizon of like 30 days on it, just so we don't lose, some velocity we have here. If we're going to make a decision, we're going to make it whether we like the outcome or not, right? So like, we're going to get the information we want to make a decision one way or the other. So I'd prefer just pressing forward and getting to a decision point rather than waiting.
I'm curious what the deadline would be if we, had the conversation at another meeting and we're still not sure and we're interested in more time. What's the deadline for a decision?
Well, we would continue to treat organically. We would miss out potentially on a late June application for crabgrass, weeds.
Typically when we make these applications, there's all kinds of different products, right, that you could use. First, we have to go out and make sure we know what weeds are out there, what the life cycle of the weeds are, that sort of thing. But fortunately, with school fields, at least the clients that I have that do choose to apply herbicide products, almost exclusively, we apply these products when school's not in session and the fields aren't, currently scheduled. And so that typically happens late June. And then there's another window, usually in early August, when those sorts of things take place. Because a lot of towns have recreation programs. Some of the colleges and prep schools we work with will have summer camps on their fields and things like that. So there's windows of opportunity where those things usually take place. So typically we try to make applications at times of the year when the fields aren't in use by either school programs or recreation programs and things like that, or camps or anything like that. So
How long do the fields need to be shut down after an herbicide application?
if they're done outside of a school setting, let's say when school's not in session, every product so if you read the label of any product that you utilize, there's re-entry, what they call re-entry intervals on them, and every product is a little bit different with regards to re-entry intervals. But most of the herbicides that we utilize for athletic fields, it's just the re-entry interval is actually until the product is dried on the grass, because it's absorbed into the blades, and then once it's absorbed into the blades, it's much less likely to rub off onto any other type of surface. So and typically on a normal day, you're not going to go out and spray, an herbicide when it's raining out. We're gonna apply something like that on a day when it's dry. But typically that's several hours. So it's not something where you have to close a field for an entire week if you're gonna do something like that. When you're applying things during school season, we have a thing in Massachusetts called the Children and Families Protection Act. I don't know if you're all familiar with that legislation, but that requires an entirely different notification process. And typically the fields are closed for I believe it's 72 hours after the application if that's done. So during a school season. So.
Any other questions, comments?
We have a meeting in 2 weeks or not till August.
I don't think we can get it done by August, but can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm all for going ahead with these meetings and figuring it out. But in order to do that, I think all of us need the information that we talked about, the list.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe what's happening in some other towns, especially Needham.
Sure.
And I'm also curious as to the reasoning behind not using herbicides at Mary Cummings Park. What's the message in that?
I believe it was a stipulation from the trustees of the reservation who managed the property. I don't think they use them on any of their properties.
Okay. And the one last thing I want to emphasize is that in addition to a yes/no vote, we would have to change a policy which requires 4 votes to change a policy. In addition to that, I'd really like this to become also a conversation about, if we stay with organics, how we can do it better, and not on the rec department. Like, the school department is willing to put effort into this and money into this, in my opinion. We'd have to vote on that too. But I don't want you to think that it's like, here, Brendan, you figure it out. Let's do it as a joint group.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to be part of that solution too. That's the way we're set up. So as much information as I can get you, questions that you have, education you might need, more than happy to support you in that effort.
How about at the next meeting, whenever it is, that we get together, that you discuss how we could do, what we could do to make the organic fields better.
Sure.
But in the meantime, give us the other information, the products and stuff.
Sure, yeah, and everything's in our software already. That, you know, the products that we would propose, if you decided to go in that direction, are things that we utilize already. So everything's already in our software. Our software has all MSDS sheets, labels, everything, all the information, technical information that you would need for the product. So it'd be very easy for us to get all that information for you. So.
Through the chair, again, just trying to be concrete. So, Brendan, that's June 23rd, 2 weeks from tonight. And then I'm assuming the committee members would like to probably the Friday, at least the Friday before, so they would have time to review the material. So we can, Brendan, you and I can work on that. I'm not sure, even if you're available, we'll get the committee all the information. And then if we have to potentially schedule a virtual joint meeting in early August or something, maybe we'll try to work that out.
I don't think a virtual working session is necessarily a terrible idea, because there was pretty universal support on the recreation side. So I think maybe that would help get some alignment to have a larger discussion on, the reasons why the Recreation Commission was really in favor of this also. So I don't think that's necessarily a terrible idea.
I'm sorry, you don't think it's terrible, so we could try to do something like that?
Yeah, I think that would be great if we can accommodate it.
Bob, did you have a comment?
Yeah, sorry for the timing. I just wanted to remind the committee that the school department already contributes $25,000 towards this project as well. So depending on if things were to change, that would be for you all to consider.
We could contribute more if it kept our kids safe.
When we pull the numbers, I'd like to see what the costs look like involving the new Fox Hill too. So not just with what we have now, but the fields that we'll be growing into.
Yeah, and I think it's not just materials costs. I think there's processes that we'd want to talk about, training that your people may need, the people that are taking care of the athletic fields, additional labor considerations and things like that you'd want to talk about. And fortunately, learning those things and implementing those things would help to make all the other fields look good as well, better as well. So, I mean, it's just something that contributes to the overall health of the soil and the turf. So, that these are things that are universally applicable, let's say. So,
Eric, did you have something else you want to say?
No, if we're closing out this conversation, I just wanted to, again, thank you all for being here. Brendan, thank you. And I rarely get to see you in person at these meetings, but if you could pass on our gratitude to your crew, maintaining the buildings all year, snow removal. I know it seems like far away, but you guys do a great job for us for snow removal, and I thought the campus looked great for graduation, and I know you guys play a big part in that. So please pass on, again, my thanks, and I'm happy I got to tell you that in person. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I will share that with them.
We appreciate the partnership with the town too, Tom Irwin. We just recently moved up to Tingsboro because we kind of outgrew our building, but we've been here in town since 1971 and just recently moved. But, we've been working with the town for, 7 or 8 years now?
8 years.
8 years now. Just wanted to say thank you. We appreciate the partnership that we shared with the town. So thank you. Thanks for having us.
And could I impose on you for about 5 more minutes, Brendan, if that's okay, maybe?
I just wanted to make sure that there was no one else here from the Recreation Commission that wanted to comment on this item. No? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Noita, you can speak up. Greg can't, but you can.
We're just listening. Yeah. We want to be informed.
We're glad you're here.
So again,
move on.
Madam Chair, if we could just, the next agenda item, again, is more of a process agenda item for me. And it does involve a warrant article where we're studying the potential bathroom facilities development at the Marshall Simons Field Complex. So again, I want to talk to the committee about that. Brendan, I know you have a similar warrant article for Simons Park, right? A bathroom. And this is more of a process than what's going to happen, because everyone is sort of asking who's going to take care of it, what's the operational piece of it. There's some things that we haven't had a chance to even discuss, but you're looking at an existing facility at Simons and looking to renovate an existing facility?
So our warrant article, the 200,000, we had a conceptual plan. This is for the playground, the wading pool, and the bathroom building. So we've had a conceptual plan done for that. It's taking that conceptual plan and creating construction, finalizing it, making sure there's no changes we want to do, and completing construction documents, bid documents, so we're ready to go out to bid with it. One of the items we are looking at is the bathroom building there. Do we renovate the existing, or do we look to upgrade completely with a new bathroom building? So it's a small portion of the larger. One of the things we are looking at, doesn't mean we'll go that way, are self-cleaning bathrooms. And by that, after every flush, sprays the bowl, the seat, and air dries it. And after every 20 uses, the door locks, and it completely cleans the floor and then dries the floor as well. We're looking at the feasibility of that.
They don't make those for in-home use.
They may. The company is out of Canada. The closest one to here is Albany. So I've been told to go during the day to the one in Albany.
Yeah.
So, so that's what we're looking at as far as bathroom.
Are the bathroom buildings open all the time, or do you physically unlock them and lock them?
Currently, our bathrooms have timers mechanisms on the door. So at Rahanis and at Simons, they don't work if someone puts a rock in between the jamb and where the door will close. But our staff cleans them 3 times a day, and more if needed in the summer when we have full-time staff at Simons. Otherwise, they get cleaned 3 times a day at Simons by rotating staff coming through the park.
So again, Madam Chair, I know we don't have any current bathroom facilities. We have at the field, varsity field, we have the locker room, and I guess there are 2 bathrooms in that building. Yes. And then do we clean that, or?
We do not maintain them.
You do not maintain them. But if the committee had any questions about a potential separate bathroom building while Brendan's here, I think it would be worthwhile to ask, because he has the experience running the bathroom buildings. And then I just want to talk a little bit more about process. And I know you're probably tired of me talking about it, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes.
I have one question. And the self-cleaning ones that you described, do they have sinks and running water in them?
Oh, yes. Yep.
So do they get self-cleaned too?
The floor does, and the toilet seat is a spray on the inside of the toilet seat. I don't know if the sink does.
Okay.
The spray at the floor is
they're
floor
there.
level.
Okay,
And it
thank
goes
you.
into a drain, yeah.
It's after each use or every
Yes,
hour?
after each use, the toilet bowl gets cleansed.
But not the floor?
After every 20, I believe it
Okay,
is.
all right. That makes a little more sense.
And obviously, if the door shuts, someone had walked in, it's not going to operate. When the door shuts, someone could get back out, but it keeps someone from walking in during the cleaning process. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the units.
I've used one in Paris.
Yeah,
They're nice. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if Burlington's ready for that yet, but
Are the cleaning
we're going to
supplies?
look into it.
Are the cleaning supplies organic that are used?
I don't know. I think we would choose the cleaning supplies. So in that type of environment,
I think that was aimed at me.
yeah, maybe.
So, Brendan, thank you very much. And again, this is kind of new territory for us. Again, I just want, Bob, the warrant article is obviously approved. We would need to either go to bid, or we have a company that is prepared to do the study. Look at just, if we could go through that, and then sort of the committee's expectation on how you would get the information, and maybe a timeline expectation, because what I don't want to have happen is I want to make sure we're delivering what the information you all need to make the decision. There was a suggestion at town meeting, and I think we have to wait for the field project to finish, but I think someone had mentioned, can we, if there's any money left over in the warrant for the fields, can we apply that to the bathrooms? That would require, again, in a town meeting vote to do that. But again, there are some pieces here. I just want to make sure you are all in agreement and you are all driving. So that's kind of it. So Bob, we can just go through sort of, I know there's a small, medium, and large. I know there's a separate building, and I know there's a renovation type building.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to go first back to something that you mentioned. I'm sure Nicole will correct me, but I believe that we will follow all procurement laws regarding sourcing this. But at the same time, I believe this is under the threshold for scope of work and dollar value that we would not be required to go out to bid. If that were the case, of course we would. That being said, is that what was proposed at town meeting, the scope of work is that Nezra Engineering provided the proposal for us, who is doing the engineering work for the turf field at Marshall Simons, also performed engineering work for Francis Wyman and Varsity Field. So we're familiar with them, and they're familiar with the property. Would look at the existing bathrooms that are at the middle school now. While not specifically written in saying the word porta potties, those are existing bathrooms. And they would look at the existing bathrooms of the school to see if they were feasible to use for the athletic field. They would consider some proposal for either renovations or adding to the school, and then they would consider a new building. The new building would be looked at based on occupancy, not the same occupancy of a building, but the occupancy of field use, how many fields we have. So we'll have 2.5 fields once this project is complete. The average number of games. So we'll look at the schedule of the rec department, the athletics department, youth programs, and get an idea. That's where the small, medium, large comes in. Do you want to build to the minimum? Do you want to build to the medium? Or do you want to build to the largest party that we would have on that field at one time, and how many people would use a restroom at that one time? Last year, when we entered this conversation and introduced it to Ways and Means, we had something in the $1.6 million request that included a study, but then also included engineering drawings and some money to build a larger building. I think there was somewhere like 21 stalls in that building. It had a storage facility and even had a concession stand as well. So I'm not saying that is the top of the line. I'm saying that's, a concept number. Of course, it can be smaller and less money than that, but of course it could be larger and more expensive than that if that's what the committee or others choose, right? So small, medium, large doesn't really have a number to it right now, or a number of stalls to it. It's really more just generalization, because we do not have permanent bleachers. We don't have the same regulations as if we did have permanent bleachers. So we really could get away with a single toilet. It probably wouldn't be the most efficient for that field, but that could probably be the smallest that we could build. Financially, probably doesn't make the most sense to build a single toilet. So it would probably be somewhere in the 2 to 4 range would be the small, and then add a few more for the medium and add a few more for the large. So again, that would all have to be figured out during the study. I don't believe that we get full-on engineered drawings from this. This is more of a conceptual phase, so this is really doing the study to figure out what's the best idea. Conceptually, you would get some two-dimensional drawings and some estimates, but then if we were to choose, let's say, the medium one, then we would have to invest more time to really get those engineered drawings out for bid documents.
And just one last add, and then I'll certainly defer to the committee, is the site, just, I think I mentioned this last time, has 4 shipping containers.
Correct. Currently in the parking lot right now, they used to be right up against the fence, closest to Locust Street, but right on the field fence. There are 4 shipping containers, 2 30s and 2 10s. Those are cubic yards for anyone who cares. Brendan coordinated moving those away from the fence area because that's the entrance point that the construction crew is going to use. So instead of being on the field fence, they are now closer to Locust Street, but they are taking up almost 5 full parking spaces. And they're quite ugly shipping containers, right? So all they're doing is providing storage.
Oh, and is that, you said that's for youth programs and for school?
Yeah, the school owns one of the 10s and the other 3 are youth programs.
And do you allow storage containers on rec facilities or fields?
We've never been asked. They've always been down there since I started. There was 2, and then it crept to 3, and then to 4. So there is never a discussion on our end to allow or not allow.
Is there a storage container in Overlook Park, or was there one for the
There was one for the players in
Historical Commission, or no?
that was temporary until they could find a spot for it. But there was one for the players, and when we reopened the park, 99.9% sure that it's not going to be there, or we'll be leaving soon after.
Question.
Yes.
Bob, are we committed to a particular organization to develop this?
Nope.
So I don't know if this makes sense or not, but remember when we would go out looking for groups to do, well, whether it's a school, a feasibility study, or whether it's to do a district-wide feasibility study, or to hire an architect, and we'd always have like people come in and we'd interview them, and we'd pick a group that we thought knew what we really wanted and was probably really good at doing it. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm kind of asking you if we should do that.
It is an option we can do. RFP, request for proposals, we could definitely write up a scope of work, put that out on the street, wait some time, roughly 2.5, 3 weeks or longer if the committee chooses to. And then we would get, hopefully, numerous proposals back for us to review. And then we can make a selection from that or a recommendation back to this committee to appoint one of those firms. That could definitely be an option.
I'm not saying that I really want to do that. I'm just wondering if it would be a good idea or not, and I'll leave that decision to you and others. But I just wanted to bring it up as finding the right company to do what we need, and I think that those storage units need to go. So whatever we do, I'd like to make room for the storage.
The chair. So I think that falls back on the committee. Like I proposed previously, we need to provide some level of scoping, a minimum viable product with things we need to have, because if we're going to go into RFP and we don't tell whoever's drawing the drawing, these are the 5 things we must have,
Right.
We'll probably get back a very subpar product. And if we define that now, it'll help eliminate scope creep later. There was substantial conversation during the field subcommittee to garner some community feedback, kind of like we did for Overlook Park, and then again for Fox Hill, where we attend upcoming recreation events, solicit that feedback from the town. Again, I'd also propose, I took the initiative and wrote a project requirements document, so I could farm that out to the committee. We could comment async and then, discuss it in committee again, so everyone puts their comments in. Then that's something we'd all agree on to, hey, these are the things we'd want to have and put it in a document where we could have that handed out ready for proposal is, kind of the way I'd like to approach it, if that's agreeable to the rest of the committee.
Through the chair, that would be very helpful to us, I think, if you all weighed in, because, again, Cheyenne, not to put words in Ways and Means' mouth, but there was different opinions on this warrant article and the proposal and the potential size of the facility. And so if the committee's saying they don't want shipping containers, that's going to make the building bigger, but that may not be a priority for Ways and Means, but at least we could justify why we were creating storage in the building if that was driven by the committee. And I'm assuming also the youth groups, you had mentioned, Bob, a concession area, and again, probably the youth groups would want to have something like that. And I just think if we have that as part of the proposal, when we do go to Ways and Means, it would just be easier to explain as to why we added that in, given the committee's priorities.
Bob, did you have a comment?
Yeah, more a question. I think I'm confused on some of the comments because some of them I think are related to the final product as opposed to the feasibility study. And I think the feasibility study is supposed to give us some of the direction towards that, right? So I understand writing a scope of work, but if we were to write a scope of work that says we want a concession stand, 12 bathroom stalls, and for it to be 8 feet tall, I don't know that we need a feasibility for that, and we hire an architect to build it, right? And then, again, if I misunderstood that, I'm sorry, but I think the question is for us to get a understanding of what options are available, where the utilities are. Is the locker room that exists right now feasible for us to be considering it to be a bathroom? Where on the property could it sit? Things like that. And what's the recommendation for sizes and number of toilets? Then from there, I think, is when we can kind of pause the feasibility and say, maybe do we need to focus more on this one, or move forward into a second part of the feasibility study where we're actually deeply investigating one particular option, right? So
that feels more like the process we went through for Fox Hill and the high school. I have a question out of sheer curiosity. I'm not advocating for the large bathroom, but if we were to have permanent seating, how many stalls would be required for permanent seating at Marshall Simons? Do we have an idea of that?
I would have to look at the regulation, but it depends on the number of seats.
Okay.
So
It's a lot.
Yeah.
it is a lot.
It's like,
It's similar to like handicap
Would that be
parking
the
in a
extra
bathroom.
large bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Madam Chair, just, so again, Bob, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but the work that we would have to do, would that involve Conservation Commission and the Planning Board as well, because it's outside of the building?
yes, but it maybe not the deepest level yet, right? So because we're not building anything, it'd be more investigatory, making sure that we meet thresholds, bylaw requirements, things like that. Even, let's say, from a DPW and utilities perspective, we're not going to dig into the ground, but we're going to investigate to make sure that we have the right pitches, the right volume, the right control for, waste removal, et cetera, like that. And then when we were to select an option and choose to build something is when we would then, have to invest heavily into these deeper conversations with other departments. So, more of an intro conversation and investigatory first with other departments.
So I'm thinking too grandiose in this work is kind of what you're telling me.
I think so,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think I think there's a conversation that says there are some people in this town that want to have bathrooms. We've heard that conversation. And I think we heard the town as well, too, that last year they did not want to invest in the $1.6 million, so we stepped back. We went back this year and said, well, let's study this a little bit more and find some more information before we come back with another plan. And I think that's what we have in front of us right now is let's study it and come back with some options, come back to this committee with some options. You all would have to support as well, make a decision to then decide to move forward in a future warrant article if that were the case. So,
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
And sorry, not to keep it going. The concern that we would have, whatever is decided, is who would be responsible for maintaining them, buying the supplies, manning them, locking, unlocking. Those all, because we do for a couple bathrooms in town, and it would be lovely to have nice facilities at every park, but it may not be feasible. It will 100% increase our budget by a lot if we have to have someone go around constantly checking each one, cleaning, locking, unlocking. So just that's, when you are thinking through the process, the feasibility part, that's something that we hope is figured in there.
Mrs. Monaco?
Brendan, is there any reason why, if we go ahead and build something that has bathrooms, is there any reason we can't just hire a cleaning service?
That would be possible, I think.
It gets back to the contract issues. But
I think that would be one they might be willing to
allow?
Stretch a little, or
so
allow some wiggle room there.
What about, and now I'm going way back to the field, but what about, applying stuff on the fields? Do your people apply the herbicides?
No, we are not set up. It's a liquid application currently is what we use, liquid application. There is a granular product that we do apply.
The grub gone, the grub material. Yeah.
Our staff applies because they do have
What about
a
on
license,
the organic fields?
But they apply all of the fertilizer. Our staff does,
yeah.
yes.
So
when there's a liquid application, when there's a liquid application.
Would there be a problem with anybody coming in to do it if there was a new plan?
I don't think so, but we would just have that discussion beforehand.
Okay.
With our staff.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
He's finally going to let you go.
Next item on the agenda is out-of-state travel. Dr. Conte?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is for the annual request for the middle school students to go to Kennedy Lake Park on June 12th in Salem, New Hampshire. The trip will be chaperoned by 8th grade teachers, and additional staff and nurse will also be attending. You have the ticket prices in your packet. Again, it's recommended the school committee vote to approve out-of-state travel for the middle school students to go to Kennedy Lake Park on June 12th.
So moved.
Second.
it's the same one you updated.
Any discussion?
Do they need volunteers? I would like to volunteer.
I can certainly ask.
Put your name at the top of the list. All in favor? Aye. Chair is an aye. It's unanimous. Next item on the agenda is the recommendation of 2023 Comprehensive Health and Physical Education Standards. Dr. Chen?
Again, thank you, Madam Chair. This was put on the agenda as a second reading. It does say vote. Obviously, with a member missing, you may want to table the vote, but I'm saying that is certainly up to the committee. But Dr. Chen is going to go through some of the questions that she received after the first reading. So,
Thank you, Mr. Kuna. So, first of all, next, please. I really wanted to thank, like, as Jamie Weber said, that we had about 28 people from different representations who spent a lot of time reviewing these standards and also the policy. And none of this work would have been done without their hard work and hours and input. So I just really wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of them. So thank you. Next. So as a wellness committee, we were charged with 3 things. And per regulation, every year you have to have a wellness committee. So this wellness committee is not going away. We were charged with looking at 3 things. One was to complete a needs assessment, in which we did through an alliance of a healthier generation. And through that, we formulated a policy. We also looked at the 2023 Comprehensive Health and Physical Education Frameworks as presented by the Health and PE Department. And then we have to develop goals and submit an annual report to the superintendent and school committee. And I'm hoping that this report will serve as that to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Next, please. As a result, we had 9 meetings. And these 9 meetings, the first 3, we talked about the wellness policy. We analyzed our data. We used a particular format as developed by the state. It was the Alliance for a Healthier Generation. It wasn't until December 18th, as we continued to get updates on our policy through a grant that we received, that we began the discussion on the frameworks. It began with first Amy Doty, who is the Director of Health and PE, going over the differences between the 1999 frameworks and the 20 and 23 frameworks. We talked about what our conversation protocol would be, and we introduced the standards to the group. And we then went through each standards by grade span. So we took a look at pre-K through 2 on January 15th. We also talked about our conversational protocol, and we also took a look at grades 3 through 5. And then as part of this consensus protocol, when folks have questions, they want to bring up questions when they take a look at our minutes, when they have questions about the opt-out process or how we made a decision, we will go back and take a look at that. And as you will see on our March 26 minutes, we went back and we took a review to make sure that folks were set and okay with the recommendations that we had made on December 12th and February 12th. We also talked really hard that there were a lot of standards that we wanted to get through, and that the Health and PE Department had been working on this since 2024 and 2025, and it was very important for our students to have the most updated standards. And there were a group of standards that are new standards, completely new, and they're very complex. And we talked about a process of trying to get as many stakeholder support, and so one of the things we talked about was involving the Board of Health. And the Board of Health had previously come to us on March 26th with the Director of the Board of Health, the Director of Health, Susan Luminello, presenting Kratom to us. So we shared with everyone, Amy and I, that we would be putting some of these standards and to get their medical perspective feedback on the April 14th meeting. So I asked Dr. Conti to be excused from this meeting so that Amy and I could present those particular standards, as they were more complex standards. We wanted their medical expertise, so we went to the Board of Health. On April 29th, when we had another meeting, I received feedback from the Board of Health that they want to continue to work with us, but more so through the Wellness Committee, and this was more in the purview of the Wellness Committee as opposed to the Board of Health. And we continued on. And so we said, okay, we still have a whole bunch of standards to go through, but these standards are going to take a little bit more time. So we're going to talk about the standards that that we may not need as much data on or some demonstrations of lessons, because that is what the committee asked for. The group of committee asked for more specific feedback on what some of these standards might look like. And so we took those standards and said, okay, we're not going to forget about these standards, but we need a little bit more time to do them justice because, again, they are new and they're complex. And so we began our discussion again on our grades 6 through 8 standards. And then we talked about having a couple more meetings, but I think 2 more meetings to make it 10 meetings. But by May 13th, we were able to get through our 9 through 12 standards and some of the sexual health standards, but not all of them. So we decided that because it was towards May 13th that we would bring before the school committee, it was decided as a committee, the standards that we had completed. We would still continue to work on some of those standards that were a little bit more complex, and we would continue that work the next year. And so the process is very important. So for us to take a whole bunch of folks with many diverse opinions and to ensure that everyone had a voice, we started out with norms. And we developed these norms together as a group, which was respect to start and end times, stay engaged, keep agenda-driven focus, listen to understand. We disagree with ideas, not with individuals. That was a suggestion to change it to ideas and not individuals. Respect confidentiality when necessary. And as part of the process, at every meeting, we reviewed the norms. We had a wait time to make sure that these were the norms that we were going to talk about to make sure everyone's voices was heard. We also worked through what was called a consensus process, which means that participants work together to achieve enough unity. It does not mean, however, you need 100% or majority rules. That is not what a consensus protocol is. It just so happens that through our discussions that folks actually agreed all together through the different points of view. We would table certain items, go back to them, do some homework, hear what other people had, and then we would go through this consensus protocol. It just happened to be that for these standards that have been recommended to you, that all people agreed to them. Now, that doesn't necessarily occur necessarily on a consensus protocol, but it required a lot of active listening, asking questions, discussing and revisiting concerns, and yes, every single standard was read out loud to provide a wait time and to ensure that everyone in there understood what the standard was. And then it was stopped with, do you recommend this? Is it a yes, no, or should we table it, or do you need more information? For the ones that tabled, the ones that we needed more information, we would come back to those. And some we completely tabled because they needed to have more time to develop and to go through the data, and also to provide examples of which was asked by the health and PE department to provide next. And so when we worked on the wellness policy, we used through the School Wellness Initiative for Thriving Community Health, we received a grant. We worked with folks on that grant. We went through an assessment tool for the Alliance of Healthier Generation. It was alignment with state and federal regulations. We went through the same consensus protocol. It took us 3 meetings, but we continue to share updates with folks. Year 1 is the writing of the policy. That policy right now is in the hands of DESE, and once it comes back, I will submit it to the school committee based on recommendations of the wellness policy for you guys to take a look at it, for you guys to do a first reading, a second reading, and then a vote. Year 2, which is a goal for next year, in addition to looking at those group of standards, is also to take a look at how the policy is living up and to do what is called kind of like a process review on the policy, which is the implementation phase next. So there was a question that was raised. How were the specific 2023 standards selected by the health? Oh, I'm sorry, and that's supposed to be PE department, not PD, sorry, PE department for the Wellness Committee to review. Next. First of all, if you were to read the 2023 comprehensive framework, what you will find in there, and these are direct quotations and statements from the comprehensive framework itself, is that you are not going to necessarily be able to adopt every single standard on there because it may not have meaning and relativity to what you are already doing with your framework, and it might not necessarily be relevant. This is where the district comes and why you have a wellness committee. So again, you may not be able to use every single standard, and that's written at the beginning of the framework. And so next, so when the health and PE department started looking at these standards in 2024 and 2025, they took their old existing standards that are on we have curriculum maps that are all posted on our website. They took a look at those, and they took a look at their crosswalk, and they started to match them. They also revisited and revised your belief statement and vision statement, because those are your non-negotiables when you take a look at standards, when you organize them by power and you organize them by priority or supporting, and then the remaining standards. Through a grant team and K through 12 staff, they identified the power standards that align to both their belief statements, their vision, and they also took a guiding document of ours, which is the portrait of the graduate, which are those soft skills that all students need to be able to graduate to match with the standards, to start looking at a skills-based curriculum. Now, what is a skills-based curriculum? A skill-based curriculum allows you to have multiple entry points so that in K through 12, you can take a look at your curriculum document and match a different topic like math with particular what's going on with PE, health with what's going on with PE, art with what's going on to PE, so you can collaborate maybe two particular curriculums together. They took a look at the times and schedules. They met as a full K through 12 staff and went through each grade span to ensure both horizontal and vertical alignment. They worked with Sarah Baines and the Lighthouse Wellness and Consulting to begin the process of building a scope and sequence that was part of the grant. Next, in recreating their vision statement, which is their non-negotiable, is from the teachers themselves. The teachers created this, that they're looking for skills that are age-appropriate and medically accurate curriculum, and collaborating with community partners, and hence reaching out when it comes to standards in which we're not as great of medical experts, that to the medical experts in our communities, such as the Board of Health. Next, they also worked on their belief statements. So here, this is under the cores that we believe in: learning, equity, and thriving. They took a look at communication, resourceful problem solving, successful collaboration, and critical thinking are all components, major components of the portrait of the graduate. So the curriculum that and the standards that they looked at have components of the portrait of the graduate weaved in. And again, it's a skill-based instruction. They also chose standards that would ensure and embrace diversity and that would develop lifelong learners. Next. They also had to look at constraints. There's that of the health education, in which our school committee policy talks about that the importance of health education, that should be a separate academic discipline in grades K through 6 and as a separate class in other grades. But because of competing interests, we really don't have that in the elementary schools. They took a look at that health education. The exemption procedures include students of religious beliefs and the teaching of students, and the students, what the students have been raised by their parents and guardian, and understanding when it comes to the sexual health units that not only is parent notification required, but that parents are entitled to see every component of that sexual health curriculum ahead of time. Next. And so this is an example of our K through 12 health and PE schedule that they worked with. And as you can see, there's no health class. It's a standalone. There's only physical education, and there's no health class when it is in pre-K. And so the standards that have been placed before you also include some health standards, and this was spoken about by the members of our wellness committee, in particular our PE and health teachers that spoke about wanting to really start weaving health in PE. And so this is the schedule of what it looks like in our health and PE, and looking at the standards and how do we align our power standards and making it fit into the schedule we have. Next, please. And so when you take a look at curriculum and when you adopt curriculum, it's not about the number of standards. It's about taking those standards and taking a look and prioritizing them, looking at power standards, because one power standard could stretch onto a huge unit that could be from 4 to even 4 days to sometimes even 7 days. And so in areas for which there is not the standard, because the way that this new health curriculum groups it is it groups it through topics. And as you can see, for pre-K through 12 and 3 through 5, if the standard is not touched because of time, it's embedded in a curriculum somewhere else. For example, because this question came to me, in our pre-K in which there is no health curriculum, personal safety is covered through playground safety, personal space. Teachers talk about touch and open doors. If you're hurt or you need anyone, you can say no. There's also OWL, which is our literacy unit on community helpers and senses. Pre-K covers nutrition through hydration, snacks, teachers talking. The OWL units also cover harvest and farm, life on the farm, things and grow. So there's a lot of intersections that the health and PE teachers did, knowing the constraints that they have, knowing that they could not teach 490 standards, because if you really truly wish to teach 490 standards, you would have to have much more time in the health and PE department. But in areas where they did not touch upon it, they made sure it was touched upon in other places in the curriculum. So personal safety in the elementary schools through Wayfinder, PBIS, digital citizenship is covered through the library. Now, why are certain things, for instance, in yellow, and why are certain things in green? Because I wanted to show you that when it comes to grades 3 through 5 and 6 through 8. When it comes to hygiene and puberty, that's been interwoven into our sexual health curriculum. There are components of physical health and hygiene in grades 6 through 8 that cover hygiene and menstruation, and through our state statute, it talks about anything that relates to sexual relations or sexual health should be coded as part of the sexual health unit. That's the same thing with healthy relationships. So there's a crossover in healthy relationships. That's why it's green. That are romantic relations. And then in 9 through 12, it's romantic relations and sexual relations and sex trafficking. That's part of your sexual health unit. And then, why don't we teach? Question was raised, why don't we teach sexual health standards in the earlier grades? It's because there are no state standards in the sexual health standards when it comes through pre-K through 2. And why don't we teach the 2 standards when it comes to substance abuse, use and misuse? It's because the nurse provides medication to our students and it's not applicable. Next, please. So after that robust taking a look at the standards that they recommended, then on December 18th, we were discussed how these standards were chosen. That was when Amy Doty spent time on. We discussed the difference between 1999 and 2023 standards. We grouped our standards crosswalk format by grade bands. So in some of the meeting minutes and notes and agendas, you'll see pre-K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. As a recommendation from the Wellness Committee folks, because of how things were done in pre-K through 2 and 3 through 5, and seeing that the different colors were a little confusing, they asked for us moving forward to separate the standards into 3 different groups. Those that we taught in PE, those that would be taught in health, and those that would be taught in sexual health. The ones that are in sexual health are the ones in which parents can opt out. We also reviewed the consensus process, and we also discussed how we also worked with standards in pairs, standards then in groups. We looked through the lens of age appropriateness, and we also read out loud every single standard, and 3 questions were asked. Do you need more information? Do you recommend this for the school committee? Or is this a plain no? And then next, as in process, folks had time to look at the minutes. Anyone who raised questions about the minutes, they were put back on the agenda. We readdressed those questions because some questions came up about the opt-out process, about being transparent, and what did some of the standards meant. And then we also talked about, because of the time and because of the need of wanting to get through as many standards, that there were some complex new standards out. And we wanted to seek the Board of Health for some feedback. We then received their feedback back to us, and we added some minutes. And then we also received some feedback for that some of those standards, they wanted some examples of how lessons would look like. And that was presented also to the Wellness Committee to have discussions on. Next. And so, as a next step, these are the remaining sexual health standards in the sexual health unit that we will need to have further discussion for next year. These are new standards. These are from the state. And what the state is starting to move, and this is, let me say this again, this is from the state. They're moving a lot of some of the grade 10 standards down to grade 8. So decisions about situations related to sexual health, topics like short and long-term consequences of engaging in sexual activity, including reproductive health, pregnancy, and pregnancy option is being moved down to the middle school. Topics such as HIV, sexually transmitted infections, and again, early pregnancy. And so these are some more complex that's going to require, I think, greater discussion because when I started doing this in another district in Virginia, there were many conversations that we had to have about, okay, what does it mean by middle school? Are you going to be teaching this in 6th grade? Are you going to be teaching it in 8th grade? Right now, the way we teach sexual health is that we have students, girls and boys, together in class. So are you going to be teaching things about sexual activity and STI infections to only girls, so girls can have the opportunity to ask questions, to feel a little bit safer to ask questions? Or do you want to include both boys and girls in talking about STIs and questions about early pregnancy? So these are a little bit complex, and this is why we went to seek our medical experts in our community to ask for some feedback. All right, next, the other ones that we have tabled that will require some are the differences between sexual orientation and gender identity. What are all the existing credible sources of information with regard to gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, health, sex development, issues related to sexuality such as sexual activity, sexual abstinence, sexual orientation, gender expression, gender identity, and what are all the support, school and community policies and programs to promote safety, dignity, and respect for all members of our community, the sexual orientation, people of all gender identities, and gender expressions. And all of those have been recommended in both the middle and the high school. And we talked about needing the time to have the discussion and needing the time because the Wellness Committee members had asked about how might this look like if it were to be in a classroom. What are the resources that you might be using? Is this evidence-based and research-based of what you will be using? All right, and then the other goal for next year is to discuss the implementation of the wellness policy in year 2. And then the next thing is also that within this is also thinking about the confines of how do we fit all of this within the schedule that we have, because these are they're complex topics to talk about. And when you start talking about topics like this, right, you need to ensure that everything you're saying to kids, it is it's medically, there's research behind it. You're saying it in a way in which folks can feel very comfortable in the classroom to ask the questions that they need to ask. And all of those standards are in the sexual health, and they are opt-out. Next. And so what has the Wellness Committee done? They were able to, through this year, the hard work of everyone, completed the draft of the new wellness policy. They were able to go through the 2023 physical education K through 12 standards. They were able to go through the 2023 health education K through 12 standards. Those have been completed. The ones that still need further discussion that are opt-out, that are not related to physical education and health education, that actually been separated by the state, and they're labeled as in the categories of SH. It's the sexual health curriculums, and these still absolutely need to have further discussion. There were 21 standards review that we were still talking about. The Board of Health received actually 32. We were able to recommend 11, so this is still in the process. And these can be seen, the ones that were recommended were ones that have been taught. These are the abstinence one. These are the grade 10 ones about some about, the usage of protection, and so that has been taught for years now in the high school. Those are the standards that got recommended through, and they are in the May 13th minutes. And so next, the recommendations from the Wellness Committee was to submit the school committee revision once it's been reviewed by DESE per regulation, because you have to have a wellness policy every couple of years. It needs to be revisited. And right now, through our grant, the person from DESE is looking at it. So when you get our wellness policy sent to you, it will have not only the recommendation of the Wellness Committee, but it will also have the eyeballs of the folks working at DESE. And the other thing was to recommend the standards to bring forth to you as far as we got, and to ask the school committee to vote on the ones completed. All right, and then the other question that I received is, why did the Wellness Committee decide to bring forth the standards we have recommended? Because we've been in 1999 standards, and this is coming from every member of the health and PE department, all of the teachers. The teachers are asking for this. The students deserve to have the most updated standards and to have a robust skills-based curriculum. The teachers have been immersed since 2024 and 2025 in the 2023 standards. And also, the teachers need the time to plan, revise, review their activities, and develop lessons for a cohesive curriculum, and that would be the work that they would be doing during the summertime. And then, moving forward, we talked about this. The one unit that we still need to take a look at that is not completed, and that we will review, and that we will have discussions on through a consensus process, that does not mean 100% everyone agrees. It just means that everyone has the opportunity to have a voice. Is that we'll review the 21 standards because they're important. And please know that every single one of these standards that was recommended to us, to the Wellness Committee, came from every single PE health teacher. There was a process of looking through those standards and looking at how it fit in and moving towards a skill-based curriculum. All right. And then finally, I just wanted to thank all these members for their time, dedication, hard work, and their perspective. And then the final question I was asked was is Lisa Chen and I am Lisa Chen, I'm sorry, I'm tired. Was Amy Doty and Lisa Chen just having conversations with themselves for the Wellness Committee? No. On average, we have 28 members that are part of this committee, right? And for more than I would say 80%. The last two meetings, The last 2 meetings, we had 18 out of 28 and 14 out of 28 because people were getting tired. But on average, we had 22, 22, 21, 24, 21, 19, and 26. So it was not Lisa Chen, Amy Doty, and a couple of parents, some parents. It was like Jamie Weber had said, like, we really got to a point that people, even though, I guess, quote unquote, some people are more conservative, quote unquote, some people are more liberal, that we had discussions with one another. It was done in a very dignified way. And I was really proud of every single member because people asked questions of one another. People pushed back. And when people didn't agree, they tabled it and they pushed one another to think of different perspectives. And then they came back, and some people even changed their minds. And so it was never 100% all the time. That's the point I wanted to make. It got there because of the discussions we had and because of the time we had. And it was a conscious effort by the Wellness Committee to take those standards that need to have time, to have thoughtful debate, and to push them to go to the Board of Health, to get their feedback, and then finally to say that our students deserve the best. We can get this done and this done, but these group of standards need and deserve the time for us to have a robust conversation about them. That's it.
So, Madam Chair, through the chair, I just think what's before the committee tonight, I believe, is obviously if you want to take a vote, you can always take a vote. I think you can table it. I think there was some feedback, obviously, that all the standards should be considered at once. We haven't completed that work. So, again, I think if you do decide to table this and take a vote at a separate time, I think you would be voting on an incomplete review of the standards. Obviously, they're the most acceptable standards that you would be reviewing on with a commitment to continue to do that. Or if you said you want to wait until everything is done, then we're going to probably need another year to go through the sexual health standards, and in which case then our students would be still receiving the standards that currently are in place and currently exist, which are from 1999. So again, I think those are the options that you have. They weren't purposely being ignored. They just require more time because of the subject area and because of the age relevance. Clearly, the state is pushing some topics earlier in a child's development, and that's really what people need to discuss. I do want to stress, Lisa, and make sure I'm saying this correctly, is the health and PE standards aren't optional. It's the sexual health standards that parents, once they see the lessons, if they're developed, we have to make them public. The parents need to preview them, and those are the ones parents can opt out of, as they currently can for other sexual health lessons, even ones from 1999.
Absolutely. And then the other thing that I just want to clarify is that in the regulations, right, if the health standards is against the religion, right? The religion or the teachings of the parents, right? You can opt out of those as well, too. You can opt out of those as well, too. But what has been completed and finished, right, is all of the PE standards, K through 12,
right,
have been done. All of the health standards have been done. And anything, just so that you know, that has that's why you saw that green bar there, that has anything, because some of your like puberty and hygiene thing, because it says it in the regulation that anything that talks about sexual body, those things, those are then can be grouped with your sexual health. And so that's why you saw that green bar, because when you started to talk about healthy relationships and they started to talk about romance, such as kissing, touching, and also sex trafficking, those, because of the nature of them, even though they've been coded HR, they are placed in the sexual health unit.
Yes.
I'm trying to make this as clear because it can be very
Believe me,
confusing.
yeah, the horse, we got it. I'm just saying for the committee, again, the vote is either to table, to vote on the standards, the 2024 standards that don't include the sexual health, and then to vote on those at a later time from a recommendation of the Wellness Committee, or if you want them all together, then we're not done yet and it's going to take more time. So that's kind of the three options.
Yes.
I was on the Wellness Committee. I went to many, not all. I think we did a lot of work. I think I appreciate the process. Thank you for the presentation. I, at this point in time, just really would like to table this. If it's a year, it's a year, but I would really like for us to review and approve a more comprehensive and cohesive program that is all of the standards together. I realize 1999 seems really old, but these are only 2023 standards, so that we haven't been sitting since 1999 waiting on them. And I think 1 year of the continued thoughtful process will serve all the teachers and the students when we can have a full comprehensive curriculum review.
Does anybody else comments?
So I'll move to table the vote
I don't think we just don't.
until,
I don't think we can table it, because if we table it, we would have to revisit it in the same meeting. So I think we just don't make a motion, we don't vote, we just wait. Hold off, right?
we have to do something because it's on the
No, we
agenda.
have to do something. Well, Catherine had said she wanted to do something. What did she want to do? Do you know what Catherine wanted to do?
Do you want to just postpone? And
Oh,
we can sort of-
postpone,
we
okay.
can have a conversation.
We can have
later.
another conversation.
And
Right.
again, how long we postpone depends on really how you want to move forward.
Is everybody going to be at the next meeting in 2 weeks?
I want to move the table till we have a full curriculum. Let me clarify mine, I'll amend mine.
Yeah, same.
I'll amend my motion.
We have to vote on it?
No.
So,
If no motion comes, then there's nothing to
No,
vote.
Yes.
well, so,
So the motion's been made, though, so I made a motion, so we have to deal with that motion.
but we've got an even number of people,
and
so.
if no one seconds it, then it dies. So is anyone?
Agree, but we're just walking over it before we ask for a second, so we're going to follow a little procedure.
Right.
No one seconded it, so I think we're good.
And again, this is technically a second reading. So what you're saying is, again, I think you can certainly postpone the vote. At some point, though, you're going to say, if there's a majority, that you're not going to approve the second reading. You're going to wait until there's a complete set of standards. That could be one option for you.
I move we postpone any vote until the next meeting when we have all 5 people. I mean, I don't need a motion. I'm just
I
suggesting.
think the committee is in a consensus that we're not ready to vote on this tonight. That's what I'm hearing, correct?
I'm not ready to vote on it tonight.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I want to go with just what's done, which I think you've done a wonderful job at, or if I want to wait for the whole thing. I am totally mixed up about which way I would vote on that
A postponement would be until time certain, and then.
next meeting.
Right, but then,
And we figure it out at the next meeting when we're all here.
so do we have a motion to postpone until our next meeting on June 23rd?
I'll make the
7
motion,
p.m.
but I don't think we need it.
So to be clear,
Can I move that we do not approve the 2023 Comprehensive Health and Physical Education Standards as presented?
second.
Made a motion not to approve them?
Correct.
Yeah, so as a second reading,
Yep.
you're saying that you don't want to approve the second reading, which is
Correct.
fine. And I think the point you're making is you want to
Yeah,
see
brought back
everything done
whenever-
when it's
Moves
done
the issue
complete.
forward.
That's fine. So that would
That's another
be,
year.
well,
Not necessarily. We can bring the agenda item back whenever.
when the work is done,
I
so.
would definitely like to reconvene at the very least, another wellness committee meeting.
Maybe we can schedule a wellness committee update after a certain number of meetings.
So
Have
this
occurred.
motion's been moved and seconded. Are we going to vote?
Well,
Or are we going
we're-
to have discussion?
We're having discussion, right? Okay.
Yeah, so if this is dead, then it can get brought back by Lisa at any point in time.
Correct. Does anyone else have any other comment for discussion? Are there any comments online? Any hands raised? I know there were people who were interested in speaking tonight. Some had reached out via email. No? Okay, great. Anybody in the room? Miss?
I would like to see it. I put Jeremy and Melissa. I think.
Can you come to the microphone and reintroduce yourself for the record, please?
Jamie Weber, and I'd like to see us really take the time. I think we need to, not hop on past mistakes, but really learn from past mistakes and really work with the community and really put the effort to really do it right this time. And there's a lot that has to be gone through. And there's a lot, we had a great committee, a great outpouring. We had doctors, administrators, school principals, the right type of people, and we have the right type of committee. We need the time. We need the time to really get the standards up to where they need to be. We need to support the teachers because they're going to be the ones rolling out the curriculum, and we need the transparency for the parents. And if we start rushing these things, this is where errors happen. And I really just think that we need the time, and it shouldn't be rushed.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you saying you don't want us to approve what's already been done? Jamie? The motion that I think I was expecting was a motion to approve what the Wellness Committee has already put forward. And Jeremy and Melissa are saying they don't want to approve that. They want to do everything and wait another year. So you're confusing me because I don't know which side you're on.
I don't need to confuse people. Well, I'm on the side of, I think but that's the topic right now. That's the topic out in the community. That's the topic in the census. It's torn. If you've been paying attention to some social media posting, there was an article in the Buzz that went out, and the decision is torn.
Right, but so we either
you vote on it,
we either
or
accept what's been done so far and then complete it, or we don't accept it and we don't accept any of it until it's fully completed in another year.
I think she was trying to clarify your comment, whether or not you were in support of.
I would like to be it fully completed.
So you don't want us to accept what's already been done?
No, I think we've done a lot of exceptional work, and I don't want to discredit any of the work that's done because
But
a lot
you're
of
not ready
time
to
and a lot
make
of
it.
meetings. Right. I think that it still needs this next section. It has a lot of language, and a lot of people had a lot of feedback about the language, about the presentation to the children, and about understanding it. And I think that we shouldn't be rushing it. Like, I understand we have to update the standards, and community-wise, we thrive on bringing our standards forward. But I think that we need more time, and I think it's
So
still. I think we should wait till we have all of it.
Okay, so you're looking to move forward with an entire complete package instead
Right.
of move forward with
Right.
what we as the Wellness Committee have approved through
Yeah, I think that
consensus.
everybody's done some great work, and I think that that's the question in the community. So, whether it go back to the Wellness Committee, and, that is the consensus. Some people want to say vote on it now, and some people want to wait and do it all at once. There was an article that was in the Buzz, and that's had some social media posting and some
read it.
feedback on that. So, that this is where we are.
Thank you. So there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded. Are we prepared?
Discussion.
More discussion. Okay.
So if the motion that's been made and seconded passes, it is a motion it's a second reading. It's a no vote on this second reading.
A rejection.
So Lisa would not be able to implement any of what has already been done for another year until she's completed the rest of it. And my position is I'm not ready to vote on that. So I'm going to vote no on this motion.
I don't think there's a requirement that she comes back in a year, if that's what you're.
No, it is. You're actually voting on telling her, no, we don't approve this. And what I'm saying is, why don't we have a little more time and have the full committee? Because, I don't know how you're going to vote, but if you vote no, we've got a tie. So it's going to go nowhere anyway.
Dr. Conte?
I just want to make sure that I'm clear that from my perspective, the process hasn't been rushed. It is just incomplete.
Correct.
So what we're sort of asking you for is an approval halfway through. It is perfectly legitimate to say you want to vote on everything as a whole. Absolutely. The work that has been done, high quality work by everyone who participated, is just incomplete. No one is omitting anything, forgetting anything, or rushing anything. So again, I am comfortable, honestly, with either scenario. The teachers can continue to work on improving their current lessons, and these topics do require more time. And then we can come back periodically. To the chair's point, we don't have to wait a full year. I'm assuming when the work is done, and we can come forward as soon as that work is done. We're just not ready at this time. I just don't want anyone to place intention behind why we didn't finish. We didn't finish because these are the more controversial topics that just take more time. That's honestly why we're doing that. We should consider them all. So I do, again, I don't vote, but I would support the motion that we need more work to do, because essentially that's what's being, I believe that's what's being conveyed. And again, I think that, Lisa, you were saying that this was a goal for you for the Wellness Committee for next year anyway. That's not going to change.
I would like to make a comment that there's a lot of really important topics discussed that we've already approved that I think our students deserve access to. And I think that our teachers, like Lisa had said, that they want this approved so that they can begin planning. Planning is a process. There are standards that we have access to that are, part of the conversation for next year that maybe during the planning process can be earmarked in certain points in the curriculum planning. It's not that they're just out the window, but okay, here's one standard, this is where it would be appropriate to fit this in if and when approved by the Wellness Committee after thorough discussion. I don't think that this is let's just approve this and we're never going to talk about these other things ever again. I don't think that that's what we're talking about at all. And just, I think it's important to hear the teachers and know that they really want to get started on this planning, and they feel that there's a lot of value to it too. So I am in support of moving forward with what we as a Wellness Committee have come to consensus with. I think it's been a lot of work, and I think that we need to get started on planning and give our students access to instruction on these important topics that are big updates. Thank you.
I move the previous question.
Could you restate your motion?
So the restated motion that Melissa made was we do not approve as presented. And I moved the previous question, so we need to get either a second or nothing on that.
But Melissa seconded it, so everyone's ready.
I just said I moved the previous question, so we haven't got to the second for that yet. That requires a second to move the question.
I just want to make sure I know how to vote. We're doing it.
I move that we reject the standards as presented.
If I'm moving the previous question,
Okay,
that
that's
ends
good.
debate until we get a second or we do something else. Can we
Okay.
please just move this along in an orderly fashion?
Discussion's very important.
I understand it is.
Did anyone want to second Mr. Brooks's motion
To move it?
to move the
Move
question? No, okay. So that motion fails. Are we ready to vote?
Sure.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
No.
opposed? Aye.
No.
No, well, I'm opposed, right. So
So what's the vote?
it's
The motion
tie.
doesn't pass with a tie.
But how did you vote, Megan?
I voted no.
Oh, all right.
So, again, I will work with the chair to put this on the agenda for the 23rd.
Yes, so that we can have a little more time to figure it out. Lisa, can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Maybe for the next meeting, you could give us a rough timeline on the rest of the topics and when they'll be gotten to and dealt with, and because that might help if we know, that they're coming right along. Maybe we'll wait for them, maybe not, but an idea that it's going to happen.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, Amy Dowdy couldn't be here tonight only because she's, her son's graduating tonight, but she told me that, that she'll be here next time. So I think she'll be able to give that. And I'll also ask some teachers from the PE and health department to also be here as well too, so you can hear from their voices as well. All right.
You do what you want. I'm not sure we need that. I think we just need to figure out what we're doing.
Yep.
Next up item on the agenda is BPS Thrives.
Okay. I'll come back over here. Thank you. You want to pull it up? I can go back there. Doesn't matter. I can go anywhere you want me to.
Whatever you would like.
Okay. All right. All right, so before we begin the slideshow, I wanted to share with you that much occurs each month with our BPS teams that are all focused and working toward our goals in the BPS strategic plan. For more information on each team's progress, please see the BPS website. Under district, scroll to BPS Thrives and click. All right, slide 1, please. Thank you to the Director of Health and Physical Education, Amy Doty, and the PE and health staff, parents, students, and student volunteers for making the grade 5 track meet another success. Memorial stole the finish this year from first place. They took it away from Francis Wyman. There is a rumor, however, that next year there will be an administrative race in which Dr. Eric Conti will be running against Dr. Lisa Chen and other staff. All bets are on Dr. Conti as he is anticipated to finish the mile in 5 minutes and 32 seconds, setting a BHS record for those in the age group of 85 years old and above. Stay tuned. Stay tuned as Dr. Conti and Dr. Chen begin their exercise regimen this summer. But it is true. We're going to do an administrative race, and I'm going to run against Dr. Conti. All right. Next, in slide 2, thank you to Shireen Tyrell, the Director of Career Pathways, and Leroy Wong, who brought 20 technology interns to Middlesex Community College for a lunch talk with an MIT instructor about AI and drones. A big thanks to State Representative Ken Gordon and Dr. Conti for joining us in this conversation. Wanted to also share with you that we've been approved for early college designation. It means that students can earn 12 or more college credits from Middlesex Community College at no cost. A CTE designation process still continues, as our goal is to continue to build multiple pathways for students to excel in. Thank you to Shireen Tyrell, also as the Director of Career Pathways. She actually secured $80,000 in funding for the Summer Career Academy in AI this summer. And thus far, we have 73 students who have signed up for the Algebra 1 boot camp to review Algebra 1 skills over the summer for free, which means that we have 27 more spots remaining. Next. You have in this picture BPS students. Shireen Tyrell and Dr. Conti attended the Massachusetts STEM Summit, moderated by the Lieutenant Governor and the Secretary of Education. BHS was featured, and Dr. Conti and one of our innovation career pathways students spoke at the event, and students met with the State Director, College Career and Technical Education, Nicole Smith. Next, here we have BHS student interns met with their mentors from the PM group and MITRE. Next, Director of English Learner Education, Carrie Lamprey, met with her ESOL teacher, reviews student data and co-teaching techniques. Next year, Carrie Lamprey, Director of Special Education, Christina Ciccolini, and I have planned 8 face-to-face professional development for administrators, instructional coaches, high school department heads, team chairs, and administrators, and learning more deeply about the various types of co-teaching models. We're very excited that we've partnered with the Collaborative of Educational Services for this learning and will be instructed by Dr. Albert Johnson Musad and Dr. Mary Gehring, who will be leading us in a co-teaching administration series face-to-face. Next, in slide 6, on May 22nd, Francis Wyman culminated its month-long kindness initiative by presenting the Massachusetts Kindness Declaration to students in grades 3 through 5. Principal Nicole McDonald shared how a bill becomes a law and explained how Representative Ken Gordon and the Helpless Board of Directors Joyce Delianis helped to establish this initiative 10 years ago. Next, during the week of May 18th, BECC students participated in a special community-wide kindness project to celebrate and recognize acts of kindness. Next, in slide 8, Director of Family and Community Engagement, Gloria Watasik, continues to partner with the state in attending the statewide conference on advancing students' belonging and success. Next, in slide 9, thank you to the Director of Science Center, Wendy Palvacek, and Sean Musselman, who is the lead science and social studies coach, for arranging the tide pool field trips for all grade 1 students in Marblehead, Massachusetts, focusing on habitats and animal parts and function. Next, we've been in attendance to various closing ceremonies throughout the district, as this one is for pre-K, the Spunky Monkeys. Next, and slide 11, a great big thank you to the secretarial and maintenance staff, teacher, parents, Tim Kettener, who is the band director, BPS, administrators, Joe Braggs, Joe Adebato, Heather Northrup, Sean Hart, Principal Mark Sullivan, Dr. Conti, and school board members, Catherine Bond, Megan Novacek, Jeremy Brooks, for a successful graduation ceremony on Sunday, June 7th. And thank you also to Assistant Principal Daryl Bragg, school committee members, Melissa Marsardo, Principal Sullivan, BHS Chamber Simbers, directed by Elizabeth Holmgren, Parents and Book Awards Committee. Congratulations to all our juniors for being recipients of the BHS Junior Book Awards, and this happened today. And then in our final slide, we have Senior Matt Conti counting down 3, 2, 1 of our seniors.
Excellent.
Congratulations, seniors.
Get ready next year, Dr. Conti.
From a college track athlete.
Thank you, Dr. Shen. Next item on the agenda is the finance report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Go ahead.
Thanks. So all of our capital articles are in good standing. Same for revolving fund. We're on cue to close out the year okay with operating and accommodated. On the capital articles, a couple of months ago, Mr. Brooks had sent me an email asking some questions about something finance related, and we had talked about maybe cleaning up some of the older articles. So I think I'd like to do that maybe in our meeting in August, but I didn't know if we wanted to have a budget subcommittee first to sort of discuss that. That was something that me and Jeremy had maybe talked about doing. If the committee wanted to.
Yeah, there's several warrants that are, in excess of 8 or 10 years old with 98% expenditures, and there's really not a lot of funds left over. We just really need to turn it around to clean up the books. We're not carrying, $1,000 here, $2,000 there that really is not going to be useful for other projects because the scope of them is so limited.
Comment?
But I'm agrees with the budget subcommittee meeting prior to.
So that would be you and me, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, isn't it? Is there a list of little amounts that need to go back to the town? And I'm wondering if we even need a meeting if you put the list together.
Then we don't need to have that. We can come I can just present a suggested list and we can discuss at the committee instead. That would be fine.
That's
also.
fine with me.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else, Nicole? No. Okay, great. Next item on the agenda is,
Just before we move on, again, we had to take some steps this early in the fiscal year, and I think Nicole in her office just does a great job. We're not in a difficult position at this time of year because of those actions. So thank you, and thank you to your team.
Thanks.
thank you. Next item on the agenda is disposition of surplus property. Dr. Conti.
You want to go?
Yes.
Okay.
So our K-8 literacy coordinator approached me that they have these texts that are no longer in use, and they wanted to be able to get rid of them to make room for other things. So we're asking the committee to declare these as surplus. If that takes place, I have all like the ISBN numbers, and I'll look up the values to see if there's any buyback that would be of value. If not, then we would just dispose of the books.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair is an aye. It's unanimous. Next item on the agenda is the approval of South Asian Student Association stipend.
Go ahead, Nicole.
So we did some stipend cleanup, I think at the last meeting. This one, we just skipped over accidentally. So we're just, upon the recommendation of Principal Sullivan, we're asking for the committee to approve a Category 4 stipend for the South Asian Student Association, which in this fiscal year would be $3,891. Someone was appointed to this and did the work.
Again, this wasn't new. It was just an omission from our last vote.
Oh, okay. So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair is an aye. It's unanimous. Next item is donation to Burlington Simon Youth Academy.
So for this, Principal Graham had approached me. The Simon Youth Foundation supports other youth academies. They have 2 academies that are consolidating. So one of them no longer has the need for their furniture. Their furniture is the same that Mrs. Graham currently has in the classrooms at our Simon Youth Academy, and would like to accept the donation.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Again, just attached to that, we had the Evening Academy graduation this evening prior to the school committee meeting. I just want to congratulate those graduates, and the Simon Youth Foundation, please correct me if I'm wrong, awarded a 4-year scholarship to one of our graduates at $18,000 and a 2-year scholarship at around $5,000.
$23,000.
So again, want to thank the Burlington Mall and the Simon Youth Foundation for their support.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Fox Hill Building Committee update. Melissa?
We approved kind of the bi-weekly invoice from the construction company yesterday. That'll come back to the full committee next week. The summer meetings are all going to be virtual so that we can have enough quorum to approve the necessary invoices. And so at 6 o'clock next week is our next meeting.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is BHS Building Committee update.
We have nothing to update at this point.
Okay,
So
great. Next item is facilities update.
Thank you. Just going to give a quick list of items that, on top of all the other work that's taking place in the buildings to get it ready for next year, what we're planning to work on is the BHS boiler room work that was approved this year, cameras at BHS. When we get to the middle school, as Mr. Brooks mentioned, continuing on the field work. We're going to get the specs ready for the front field, working on the cooling tower, cameras at the middle school, at Memorial, cameras there as well. Francis Wyman. The vestibule is out to bid, so hopefully we will be working on the vestibule this summer. We are replacing the generator at Francis Wyman, and we are also continuing with the Green Communities BMS HVAC work. So that'll take place at Francis Wyman. Pine Glen, we have additionally the Green Communities BMS HVAC work as well. System-wide, we will be working on the master plan, and we will look to purchase a new box truck. That was also a warrant article. I'd like to give a lot of credit and praise to the maintenance and the community, and the custodial staff for the work that's coming up. Of course, the clerical staff will be here as well too during the summer with administrators. Most of us will be in the air conditioner while the custodians and maintenance will be outside sweating or in the building sweating. But again, we got a lot of work ahead of us this summer. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you. Next item, transportation.
I don't actually have a transportation update. I will just add, though, today was the last day for the middle school late bus. And then high school late bus ended last week. So as of right now, there are no more late buses running in the afternoons for high school or middle school.
Thank you. Any old or new business to discuss? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Good night.